benefit of having stoves, but they may not be able to afford them. So there are all kinds of issues around barriers that we as a sector need to address for the consumer. Distributors and retailers often lack the working capital to bring these stoves into their value chains, and we need to look at how to finance those types of businesses. And really, how do you provide the after-sales service to those living, especially in remote areas, to ensure that they are getting the services that they need when their stove has an issue or they need to replace it in a couple of years. Designers and manufacturers also are lacking some adequate capital for R&D and different kinds of manufacturing facilities. And they could really use some help with market intelligence on the different consumer segments and needs. Researchers, again, are interested in this issue, but are sometimes disconnected with where the funding is or with what donors are interested in. And with donors, there's really a lack of awareness around the magnitude of this problem. There's a lot of focus on other global diseases, and there needs to be more awareness that's brought into the donor community around the huge impact, the huge negative impact that traditional cook stoves and indoor air pollution are having on these households. And on the side there, you can see that overarching along all of these issues is that there are no globally recognized standards. So currently, it's very hard to tell what defines a clean cook stove because there are no globally recognized standards. So the Alliance has been working from the very beginning to develop those types of standards. We just had a meeting last week in Amsterdam, bringing together stakeholders from all over the world to start getting a voluntary standard created through the International Standards Organization process. So the Alliance, just to give you an idea of what we've been doing since we were launched in order to achieve some of those, or to overcome some of those barriers I just highlighted, we brought together more than 350 experts from all over the world and put them into working groups, asking them to come up with what are the key things that need to be overcome in your topic area of expertise in order to reach scale within your area of expertise. So there were working groups on gender, carbon finance, finance and investment, health, climate, etc. And they all submitted reports to us basically outlining here's everything that needs to be done within our area in the sector to reach scale. And the culmination of that is the report that we've released called Igniting Change. It's really meant to be a strategy for the overall sector. Anything and everything that must be done in a cohesive way with all of the players in order to really address some of these barriers that are facing all of the practitioners and all of the players along the value chain. And I brought some copies there up there if you want to grab a copy of the report at the end. The report highlights a three-pronged strategy around enhancing demand, strengthening supply, and fostering an enabling environment. And I won't go into every bullet here, but essentially within the three-pronged strategy, there are specific bullet points, specific strategies that are pulled out under each, do you want me to? Under each strategy. So, for example, in demand, how do you really understand and motivate the user as a consumer? Treating them as a customer who's making a purchasing decision. How do you reach the last mile? So how do you ensure that you're reaching those who are in more rural areas, who are a little bit more difficult to reach? On the strengthening supply side, how can you help businesses access carbon finance that might be available to them? And how do you build inclusive value chains? So as you're building these emerging markets, how do you ensure that women and other types of vulnerable populations have an opportunity to really play a role within these value chains? And under the enabling environment, I mentioned already the standards, championing the sector, making sure that people have this as an issue on the global agenda. And we've got a great platform this year with the Sustainable Energy for All campaign because the cook stoves portion of it is one of the key issues that will be addressed through CIFA. Again, developing M&E systems and conducting research. So from that strategy report, the Alliance then extracted what are the pieces that the Alliance of partners can do in order to add value to the global sector. We have partners doing many different things that are excellent, and they're excellent at doing it. So we don't want to replicate efforts or duplicate things that are already going on. So From that, the Alliance has developed a strategic business plan. Our executive director, Radha Muthai, has actually been going to countries around the world over the past couple of months, presenting this business plan to stakeholders and getting their feedback. And so if you're interested in seeing the full business plan, you can let me know, and I'm happy to send it to you. It's quite lengthy, but it might be worth taking a look at. And essentially, the business plan highlights the 6 global value propositions that the Alliance is suggesting that it play. So catalyzing the sector and brokering partnerships, very important, again, bringing everyone together under one umbrella, promoting these international standards, championing the issue, coordinating sector knowledge and research, so really ensuring that the knowledge and research that's out there that all of the partners have is brought together into one easily accessible database or mechanism that people can all reach and learn from each other without having to do the same kind of duplicative research studies. Enable the markets in these countries, and of course, mobilizing resources, raising funding for this issue. I won't go into detail on this because I just got the 30-second